For state football titles, the Falcons will take on WILCOX in the Division IIA title game. That will be played Saturday, high noon at Saddleback College. Let us introduce the man who'll be pacing the sidelines for Scripps Ranch. No stranger to our airwaves, and certainly I consider a friend, Coach Marlon Gardinera. Coach, thank you for getting up. So you were already up, right? You were putting in the final installment of your game plan, correct, sir?
Good
morning, Marlon.
Good morning, Paul. How you doing?
I am well. I'm very excited for you. You know, no disrespect to Cathedral, to Mater Dei, but those schools have certain advantages that a public school like yourself does not. So I think a lot of folks are taking keener interest in your title appearance. Talk a little bit about the pride you feel.
Overwhelmed, overjoyed, little disbelief. I heard the question number one. You didn't ask it, but I was ready for you. This team was not supposed to win a CIF title. They're not supposed to win a regional title. They're not supposed to be in the state championship. Those are just not things we assumed would happen. But as you can imagine, if you play with all heart over and over, and you got a 6'8" quarterback who can see everything and some skilled players who can catch everything, good things are going to happen, and they're happening to us right now.
We'll get to that. We'll get to your quarterback in just a bit. But can you talk a little bit, if it's sometimes just the football fairy sprinkles a little dust on your team, and there's something magical that happens, and there is no guarantee that it will ever happen again in your career or in these athletes' careers. So you really have to enjoy the moment, do you not?
Listen, in 2019, when we lost the Division III final to La Jolla, I remember coming home thinking, I'm not chasing this for the rest of my life. That will make me crazy. So the fact that a couple years later we're here, we've exceeded all expectation, and we're getting the strap up against a team from Northern California, disbelief. I was teasing the fellas yesterday. I said, this ragtag bunch is not supposed to be here. But listen, again, all heart, all effort, pure desire. Remember, for some of these kids, we've been doing this since June of 2020.
Right.
We stopped for maybe 6 weeks in the second half of the spring, but they played 2 seasons in one. They should be tired. I know I'm tired, but they're still here.
I'll raise my hand to that tired. I mean, you know, we've been doing the PPR. It seems like nonstop for a calendar year. So let's talk. You brought up Jax, your quarterback, who stands 6'8". Man, next year is just going to be loaded with great quarterbacks, be it the Sand Kid up in Carlsbad, the Nankill at Mater Dei, the kid at Helix, and your guy. Man, it's going to be just a great year for quarterbacks. It already is a great season for quarterbacks. Talk about Jax a little bit.
Special kid, local kid, Scripps Ranch. Like you said, we don't have the advantage of a lot of transfers. We don't have any buses coming in. We get the kid that back when I coached him in Little League was, you know, far, far taller than anything and anyone around him. I used to think he was cheating every time he pitched. When he let go of the ball, it looked like his hand was right over the plate. But a local kid. He grew into those stilts a year or two ago. Listen, I remember reading a book to my kids. It was called Giraffes Can't Dance. And over the last couple of years, he couldn't dance. But he figured out how to stand on those stilts. And between his incredible football IQ, his personality, which, you know, brings a room alive, and his ability to throw the ball downfield, he's helped create a dream season for Scripps Ranch.
He sure has, and man, he's got a gunslinger's attitude too. He's fun to interview and be around. Can you give us, without tipping your hand, can you tell us the status of JAYLON Shaw? Is he going to be at your? Will he be able to carry the ball? Will he be able to pull off a Delvin Cook and play for you?
Listen, I'm going to go ahead and tip my hand. If they've got a spy down here from Santa Clara, we're playing WILCOX High School. JAYLON Shaw is playing, which is a great relief and great news for this team. He, too, is one of the leaders of the team, one of the most talented kids I've ever been around. So the idea that we get that little booster back for tomorrow is exciting. And, you know, as a senior who's accomplished so much, we're excited for him that he gets to play that last game.
Is there fear when you play a team that you don't know a lot about? You've seen them on tape, I guess. But is there a fear that you go out there and, oh, my God, they're doing something we completely didn't plan for, and, you know, we're behind in X's and O's? Or are you pretty confident in what you do and not have to worry about them so much?
Well, if our offense gets going, you know, you don't have to stress too much because we've been able to light up the scoreboard. But there's the other side of it. It's not that they change what they do. We're going to have a difficult time with what we know they do. You're going to see some running backs in a track sprinter stance, 2 yards off the ball, and they fly forward. And when I say fly, I mean they might as well actually be flying. They're going so fast. They've got a 2,200-yard rusher and another rusher that's 1,500 yards and a quarterback who's run for almost 600 yards. So it's an unorthodox style that we've been preparing for. If they switch and go back to normal football, we'll probably actually be better off. But we're going to try to work with what they're giving us. And again, our boys are poised and ready. Last week in the game, they were announcing the size of our D-line versus the team we were playing. And everybody had to think we were a JV team playing a real varsity team. So again, heart will beat just about anything. Let's see if it's still beating as hard as it was last week.
Well, you know, in a lot of people's view, and certainly mine, you guys are champions already in so many different ways, on and off the field. But just quickly, we had your assistant coach, Todd Durkin, on earlier in the week talking about his becoming the GM of the strike force. How will Todd do in that new role? And I assume he's going to keep the role with you as well.
Well, first off, I'm pretty disappointed in Mr. Durkin. I didn't even call him coach. I offered him this GM job a long time ago, and he didn't take it. Listen, if you know Todd Durkin, and you know he's a trainer of just about every NFL stud that lives anywhere close to here. He also trains our team. He's a ball of energy and knowledge and experience, and I mean, he'll breathe life into anything. So I expect that the strike force just got much, much better, and they got a new fan in me and our kids because we go and be a part of anything Todd Durkin was a part of. They picked the right guy. Well,
Coach, we wish you luck Saturday. I know you didn't want this to be the theme of the conversation, but I want you to know that I saw on your team webpage or one of your social media pages that you're looking for a little help with the funding. I want you to know the PPR contributed and to help defray the costs of going. And this has been a championship run, games that you weren't planning on playing. Any little bit helps. So, folks, if you want to help out the Falcons, track it down, throw a few bucks into the hat.
Listen, what PPR does for these kids adds to the motivation they have to play football. And in order to play football, they'll do anything. You know, in our case, it's that 3.74 GPA. We have to thank you. You are part of every staff in San Diego County for what the PPR does for these kids. Again, it's one of the biggest motivators they're ever going to find. And we can't thank you enough for helping propel us and everybody else through this season.
Well, that means a lot, Coach, coming from you. Hey, quickly, for folks that don't know, you're also going to be running for school board, are you not?
Well, if there's still a seat available, I raised a little noise a couple of days ago. It looks like the redistricting committee could be moving Scripps Ranch to another district. If they do, that'll make it a little harder for me to run. But per usual with the school district and a little government manipulation, we're finding out about 10 days before they're considering taking the vote for residents of Scripps Ranch and moving us to a district where they have a trustee who isn't up for election for a couple more years. So when you add up the fact that our representation has been a little encumbered with Beiser over the last couple of years and the fact that we might not get a vote for a couple more years, it was one of the motivations for me doing it. There are things that go on that just don't make sense. And for instance, I think the voters of Scripps Ranch deserve more than 10 days to know. They're probably going to lose their voice. So yeah, I'm still in the running, and my motivation is getting higher and higher as I see some of the choices that come out.
Hey, let's keep the focus on the Falcons for this week, and then let's have that conversation next week, okay?
I'll be back.
Coach Marlon Gardinera. Go Falcons, everybody. Coach, have a safe journey and bring home the hardware, okay?
Will do. Thank you so much, Paul.
You bet.